more than 180 research chapters to knowledge resources and to encyclopedias published by Springer, Nature, Sack, Roman and Littlefield and ABC Clive publications. He has been a co-director for research project entitled A Comprehensive Study of Culture, Philosophy, Literature and Language, sanctioned by Indian Council of Social Science Research. There are his some recent books like Grammar of Sarji, uh, Dogri and its dialects, a grammar of Hadoti, a grammar of Bhadravahi, and poetry collection titled Chinnar Ka, Sukha Patta, and so on. He has countless poetry that have been published in books, journals, and magazines all around the world. The prologue of Motherhood and War, the International Perspective, Palgrave Macmillan Press, formerly featured his poetry Mother. It's really an honor to have such a vibrant personality with us today, and I'm sure everybody is excited to listen our today's distinguished guest. Now I request Amitabh Dwivedi sir to please enlighten our student with your talk on critical thinking. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind introduction. And I welcome all the participants who have joined this session. And as you're already aware of that, the topic that I'm going to discuss is critical thinking. So I have a presentation made on this critical thinking, and I'm sharing it with you so that all of you will get benefited from it. Slideshow. Right. So now I hope it is visible and you can see. So the title of this presentation is critical thinking, and the subtitle is how to think, read, and write critically. Because if you think critically, then there is a use to that critical thinking. And where can you use that critical thinking? Then obviously you can read critically, you can write critically, or when you speak something, then you can speak critically. So that critical thinking is important because thinking comes first, then your reading and writing skills. So in a way, critical thinking is the primary thing, and when it comes to reading and writing, then it becomes the secondary. But why critical thinking? That is the question, that why do we need to think critically? And what do we mean by critical thinking? So when it comes to reading and writing, the meaning of critical is close and careful. And how can we be close and careful? The other meaning of critical is like someone is critical when generally someone is admitted to hospital, and when we say like the patient is critical, so that is one meaning. But here we are not concerned about that meaning. Our meaning of critical is something that is close and careful. And how can we have a close reading? So when I say close, then it is like close reading skills I am talking about. And when I say a careful reading, that means like you can draw out more meaningfulness from that reading. So in a way, when we talk about critical thinking, then we can say that critical thinking is unbiased. Critical thinking is not prejudiced, but critical thinking is active and analytical. So If you are reading, then what the author is saying, that is the first thing you need to take care of. When you are listening, then you need to take care of what the speaker is saying, and then it will become critical listening. And when you are reading, then you need to find out what are the methods used by the author to communicate, or what is the tone of the author. So whether the tone is suggestive, whether the tone is instructive, whether the tone is descriptive, these are the things that you need to take care of. Then your objective interpretation, that is also important. Now, what is objective here? All of you are aware of objective type question answers. So generally objective type question answers are also known as MCQ. So MCQ is like multiple choice question answers. And uh, once you attempt such type of questions, then you know like only one answer is correct and rest of the answers are wrong. So in that situation, it is not only you, not for only you, but it is for all. So let's say you have a question and question has four options, and option A is correct. So it is not only for you A is correct, but for all A is correct. So that type of objectivity we require. So objectivity means like what is true for you, what is okay for you, that is okay for all. That basically means objectivity. So objective interpretation, how to interpret something objectively. Subjectivity is also appreciated when you read literature, but that subjectivity is also, that subjectivity must be validated from interpretive communities. So interpretive communities, there is a term used by Stanley Fish, that you interpret something, but that interpretation must be in line with the other people who are engaged with that interpretation. So it is not like out of the blue you say something. It is not the case. So you need to be in line with. So for example, if I raise a question to you, let's say, and I want you to answer objectively, and my question is, what is the purpose of life, or what is your purpose of life? If I raise this question, then there is a possibility that some of you will say, to earn lot of money is the purpose of my life. Some, there is a possibility some will say that, okay, I would like to contribute to my country, to my society. Some people will say like, I would like to influence or change the life of poor people so that they will become rich. So my question is one. My question is only one. What is the purpose of your life? But there are different people, and those different people, they are answering it differently. Someone will say like, I will earn a lot of money. I will make my life happy. I will enjoy my life, or I will like live my life to its fullest. So there are n number of answers. All these answers, they are subjective. Fine, because someone wants to earn lot of money, that is that person's subjectivity. Someone wants to live his or her life to its fullest, that is that person's subjectivity. But all these interpretations are valid, because this question is very broad: what is the purpose of your life? But if someone answers that the purpose of my life is to meet an alien, then there is the violation of validity, because we know that there is no alien, and the person says like, I would like to meet an alien, or someone says like, I would like to meet a dinosaur. So we know that dinosaurs are extinct, and you are answering this question in such a manner, then though you are subjective, but again that subjectivity has no value. So you need to think of like, when you try to answer something, that is the starting point of that. Why answer like, to enjoy my life is valid? Why this answer, to live my life to its fullest is okay? To contribute to society and country is valid, but not to meet a dinosaur, to meet an alien is invalid. Once you realize this thing, that is the starting point of critical thinking, that okay, what is valid and what is not valid. So this is like critical thinking. You need to think of something that in a careful manner. And once you are reading something, then you need to read it closely. Now, what is the meaning of close here? Now, here the close is not the opposite of open. The close means like you are moving beyond what is what is there on the text, moving beyond. Now, what is the moving beyond thing here? For example, if there is a word like dog, now if I say define dog, then you will say a dog is a four-legged canine animal. That is very well. A dog is a four-legged canine animal. But when I raise a question like how a dog is different from a wolf, because wolf is also a four-legged canine animal. So this crucial distance is like a dog is a dog because a dog is a four-legged canine animal, but dog can also be domesticated. Wolf is a four-legged canine animal, but wolf cannot be domesticated. So that difference, like you need to make the two things, they look quite similar, but there is a difference. So when I say dog and you define dog correctly, that a dog is a four-legged canine animal that can be domesticated. But when I say he is a dog, then the definition of dog changes. Now here, when I say he is a dog, then dog is not a four-legged canine animal anymore. Dog is not an animal that can be domesticated. Now here comes the role of the culture, like whether a dog is considered a good animal in your culture or dog is considered a bad animal. So like in Indian society, when you say dog, then it is a negative connotation. Fine, it is not a positive connotation. And we have a famous dialogue from this Sholay movie also by Dharmendra, and I won't like to say that, but all of you remember that dialogue that starts with the dog. So that dog is something that is not good in our society. But when you say he is a dog, in what context you are saying he is a dog? Like he is working like a dog, in that sense you are saying, that means like he is very hardworking. So generally we say like he is working like a dog. Fine. Or someone is very loyal and faithful to a person, then you say like he is a dog. So that type of feeling is there. Or you want to say some person is bad or mean, then you say like he is a dog. So context also plays an important role. So you can't think out of nothing. That you need to understand that you can't think out of nothing. You need something and then you can think. Fine. So something is required. Out of nothing you can't think of anything. And what is that something? That something is context. That context, in what context something is said. So like good morning. Good morning is said when it is the morning time. And let's say you meet me 8 o'clock p.m., 8 o'clock in the night, and if I say good morning, then this is not the context. And you also know that good morning is not to be said like 8 p.m., 8 in the night. It is inappropriate. So that thing we also need to keep in mind, that when to say what, that is the starting point of critical thinking as well. And why critical thinking is important, that we also need to understand, because we have information. And this question is often raised, like why do we require a teacher? Like nowadays, because everything is available on internet, everything is available free. Like hundreds and thousands of books are freely available on net, and the information is also available on net, freely available, freely, like you have internet connection, you have that data pack, and you can download n numbers of things. Then those books will not teach you how to think critically. Then there comes the role of the teacher. Many people, they raise that what is the role of the teacher, everything is available, we can read on our own. But you can read, you can get the information, but how to apply that information to benefit yourself, how to apply that information to benefit the society, that is taught by the teacher. So that's why the role of critical thinking is not like you will one fine day you will wake up and you will become a critical thinker. No, you will not become a critical thinker like this. So it is like someone is to train your mind in a manner that you start thinking in that way. So for that purpose, like the role of teacher is quite important, that how you can employ that information in a meaningful way. And that is the starting point of understanding. So when you understand something, so when information transfers into understanding, for example, there is an equation like a plus b whole square, a square plus b square plus 2ab. So what is the function of this? If you simply learn this equation, that sine theta is equal to, sorry, tan theta is equal to sine theta upon cos theta. Okay, that is fine, you have learned it. But what is the application of this in real life? If you do not know that thing, then obviously that is simply an information. So you need to learn how to transfer that information into understanding. That is quite important, that will make you critical thinker. So now the thing is, like, I will give you some example, like how an ordinary person will react and how a critical thinker will react to a situation. So let's say the one example is like a young woman wants a tattoo. Fine. So tattoo nowadays are very popular, and a young woman wants a tattoo and argues with her mother, who forbids her from getting one. So someone who is not a critical thinker will simply say like, will make such type of judgment that mother is being reasonable, mother is not reasonable, or you will say like the daughter is being unreasonable. So you will make this type of judgments uh, without any solid basis. But a critical thinker will say there is a possibility that getting a tattoo is a sign to assert independence. So we know, like, now you are students, someday after few years you will also start a job, you will become father and mothers also. So there is time in your life that the conflict with your parents starts in each student's life, like conflict with teachers, conflicts with parents, conflicts with the sisters and brothers, and there is a reason for that. So similarly, it is not simply like tattoos are in fashion. There is also a possibility, like it is a fashion thing, and the daughter wants to go for this fashion. There is no problem in that. There is that type of interpretation is also valid. But a critical mind will think something differently, that okay, what is the reason behind, like a young woman wants a tattoo, that is one thing, that is situation number one, and she argues with her mother. And why she argues? Because her mother forbids her, say no to tattoos. So you start thinking like, what is the reason behind this conflict? This is very everyday situation, and there is a possibility that this is her way to assert her independence, that okay, now I am also a grown up girl and I know what to do with my body. So that type of thing is also there. So this is like examples of critical thinking. Now next example is like from a textbook. Like in a textbook there is a couple of sentences regarding students writing and how it goes. Like sometimes students become so preoccupied with the format of essay writing, an introduction and a conclusion, they forget essay's main purpose. It must have something to say on a particular topic. Now this is like an instruction, like how to write an essay in a book. But beyond instruction, what is this? Like beyond, I can read like it says something about how to write an essay, and when you write an essay, then what you need to take care of, like you need to take care of the subject more rather than the format. So subject is more important than the format that it says. But what is the outcome of this thing? Outcome of this thing, like content is more important than the format. So you need to draw out something, you need to draw out from the basic information that is given. So when you read something, let's say you read one page. So you read one page, and ideally in a page on any text, generally we assume that 250 to 500 words are there on a page. Like 500 words when you type something, let's say Microsoft Word, 500 words. Or like once you read a novel, then 250 words, 200 words on a page. Now the thing is, like, you can't remember those 200 words, you can't remember those 500 words. So what you need to do, you need to just draw out something from that. You need to draw out something, and once you draw out in a one liner manner, then it is like the starting of an understanding, that okay, you have understood certain thing. So that thing you need to develop once you read something, once you write something, once you think. That is more important. So what is the crux is important. Crux, crux, that crux is important. That will help you. Now one more word that is associated with the critical thinking is argument. Now one argument is like, I had an argument with my colleague. Now that argument is like a heated discussion, so, or an angry quarrel or disagreement. But here this is not, we are not concerned about this meaning, an angry quarrel or disagreement or a heated discussion. Then argument is also associated with critical thinking, and the meaning of argument here is that an act of arguing, an act of reasoning something or discussing something. Fine. So you have a discussion. When you reason something, you provide your reasons. That is the meaning of argument. That means like you employ your mind. You just you demand reasoning. So the difference between like the common definition of argument that generally like we have, that is to say an angry quarrel or disagreement, that is like it is a negative thing. But once it deals with reasoning or discussion, then it is a positive connotation that we have. On the other hand, generally this argument thing is well suited with written discourse. Why written discourse? Because like once we have a thesis, let's say thesis, and generally a supervisor says like there is no argument in this thesis, so that meaning is also associated with that. So now we will discuss like the critical reading and critical writing. So I will provide you with some tips that what is critical reading and what is critical writing. So first of all, you need to understand like reading and writing, they are complementary activities. So it is not like you are reading and then you are not writing. So it is not the thing like you are writing and you are not reading. So even you write something, you read. So writing goes with reading. You are writing something and at the same time you are reading. So that is one thing. But you can do reading in isolation also. So let's say you are reading someone else's work, then you are simply reading and not writing. But as a student, my suggestion is like, don't do reading in isolation. That means like you simply read and you are not writing, that is not good. You need to read and write. That type of activity will help you to become critical thinker. That type of activity will help you to get the crux of thing. So first of all, like the types of reading generally we have. So like we read, that is known as skimming, and to get the gist. For example, like once we have a newspaper and in 15 minutes we finish the newspaper reading, that is skimming. That means like we are just uh, going glance, like we are just giving a glance to that newspaper, we are not reading anything carefully. Or another type of reading activity is scanning. So like we are finding out a phone number, or we are looking for the examination results, fine, or we are searching of particular information. Like when we google something, then you have hundreds and thousands of results. Then what do? Generally you just do the scanning. And the third type of reading, that is in-depth reading, and that is required as a student, like in-depth reading, and this reading goes with writing. So once you want to have or once you are involved in in-depth reading, then it is required that writing must go on side by side with your reading. And what happens in in-depth reading, you understand completely what the writer is saying and you evaluate a text. That is also the case. So where do you do such type of thing? Like when you read research papers, professional articles and journals. So now I give you one example that how can you read critically, how can you write critically. Let's say we have a text, and what is our text? Our text is like sustainable development goals, SDG. Fine, so we have sustainable development goals, and if you are not aware of sustainable development goals, then sustainable development goals are given by United Nations Development Program. They are the part of UNDP, United Nations Development Program. And like, let's say like this is the task. You need to understand what are sustainable development goals. So the first thing is like you need to associate that topic with the basic understanding. Like if the teacher is teaching sustainable development goals to students, or let's say you are reading it on your own, then you need to ask the same question. What type of question you will ask? So you can ask like, what is that one thing that will help your country to become a superpower? Or what is that one thing that will help your country to become a developed country? We all know India is a developing country, and like US or most of the countries, European countries, they are developed countries. So you simply raise like, okay, India is a developing country, and what is that one thing that will make your country uh, a developed country? Or simply you can say like, okay, what is that one thing that will make you a better person? So a teacher will raise this question to the student, or you can raise this question to yourself. What is that one thing that will make me happy? Or what is that one thing that will make my life better? So there is a possibility like these are different student A, B, C, D, like 1, 2, 3, 4 students. One student will say quality education. Some student will say like good health. Some person will say like decent job. Other person will say startup innovation. Other person will say money will make my life better. Then the same question you can raise to your country, that what is that one thing that will make your country a better nation? Then you start differently, because individual you can think of job, but country wise there is a possibility you will think of something larger, something bigger. So you will say like quality education, or no poverty, or gender equality. And when it comes to world, then your answer is different. So you can see that there is one question. If you think about that question individually, your answer is different. If you think about that question country wise, your answer is different. And if you think of that question worldwide, then the answer is different. That means one question has three different answers in three different situations. So that is again also the starting point of critical thinking, that once a question is raised, then you must go with different perspective. Different perspective, like one perspective is very personal, one perspective is like society, another perspective is like the entire world. So that way if you start thinking, something is said to you, like uh, then you need to think of like how what is my personal answer, what is the answer of the other, and what is the person of like someone or something that is very large, very huge. So that type of thing you can also think. So the thing is like the posing intelligent question, raising intelligent question is basically the starting point of critical thinking. So if you can raise intelligent question, then that means you are, or your mind is working in the direction. For example, I don't know how many of you have raised this question with yourself, that what is the purpose of my life? Because all of you are students, there must be some purpose. So that is an intelligent question, that the purpose of my life. Or another question is like, why I am doing this course that you are doing right now. So there is a possibility some of you are doing graduation, post graduation. someone will enroll in research. So if you ask this question, that why I am doing this, and if you try to find out a reasonable answer for that, reasonable answer, that means valid answer. It is not like my friend is doing, so I am doing. Now when you say like my friend is doing what I am doing, then it is being unreasonable, because friend will be with you for 2 years, 3 years, but not for lifetime. And the friend will get job somewhere else. Friend will start his or her family some like in due course. So it is not the valid answer. Why you are doing that, that is quite important, that you need to raise this thing. You react something good or in a bad manner, then you need to ask like, if this is a situation and I reacted in that manner, what are the other options available? Generally we react like when there is a situation, when there is a good situation, how do we react? Like someone gives us a compliment, we feel good and we react. Someone says something bad to us, we feel bad and then we react. So you need to just raise like, what are other options available? Fine, are other options available? Because human being is not like a switch, like on and off. So there are other options available. So you need to think of like, what are the other options available? And once you start thinking of, okay, I could have reacted in this manner also, and there is also a possibility, then that means like that is also the starting point of critical thinking. So first thing is like, before you raise a question to other people, just raise a question to yourself. You pose a question to yourself, and then if you do not get any answer, then you raise a question to other people. So first question you yourself, and then try to find out question from the others. So again, like the, let's say we are moving to the sustainable development goals, and when you read something or when you want to write something, then some pre-information you need to require, and this is known as track method. What is that information that is required? For example, what type of source is this? Anything you read, anything you write, so the sources are like primary sources, secondary sources, fine. Then what is the relevance of that source? Relevance of the source, that means like from where you have got that material, whether that is relevant or not, and who is the author, what is the aim of that source, nature of the context, or what is the currency. Like currency means like it is historical or contemporary, fine. It is like dubious, fine, misleading. So these like track, it is an abbreviation. These type of things you need to think of. So at least once you have answer of these things, you have something to say about that. Like who is the author, when it is written, why it is written, whether the information is reliable or not, fine. From where I got this information, all such things are there. So this is like, you need to be bit careful. That means like you are asking something, you are asking questions. Once you look at a text, you start asking questions, and not one questions but many questions. So like uh, for T you will ask another question, for R you will ask different question, for A you will ask different, for C you will ask different question. And here our source is this sustainable development goals, SDGs. And you are asking, there are 17 SDGs, and you are asking about like what I can do to eliminate poverty. Like if your family is poor, or like what I can do that the people who are poor, that they will get benefit, or like how India can get quality education, that question you can raise, or how I can get quality education, that you can raise this question. So there are many things, like climate change. So you can raise a question like whether I am taking care of my climate. That means like you are using less products that has greenhouse effect. Like you are not using polythenes, you are using less let's say plastic and other thing. You are eating less fast food. So all such things are important, and that you need to think of. Then if the information is like 17. So how can I remember 17? Because there is no one goal but 17 goals. So likewise, like in a book you have 17 chapters. So how can I remember what is there in chapter 1, what is there in chapter 2? Or like you are reading a novel and there are 20 chapters in that novel. So how can I link those chapters with each other? Then there is a concept of spidergrams. So all of you know Spider Man, like there is the movie Spider Man. So here we have spidergrams. What is spidergrams? Like you try to connect situations, you try to connect things, even the things that are happening to you in your life. You try to make connections, like what is the connection, why these things are happening to me. Generally people, they start thinking like, okay, uh, I am unfortunate, that's why these things are happening to me. No, there is some connection, some action reaction connection, that is quite important. So when you study, then it is also important to build up connections. So sustainable development goal is the main thing. So that is one. And you can connect, for example, you can connect poverty with hunger, you can connect hunger with health, and you can connect health with clean water and sanitization. Similarly, you can have connection like quality education. What will happen if you have quality education? Then you will respect the other gender, so gender equality will be there. Then what is there? You will reduce inequalities. Then you have economic growth, you have a decent work. So similarly, if you have sustainable cities and commodities, then what will happen? That means like affordable and green energy that you have. So all such things are important, that you need to make connections. You need to make connections. You need to draw spidergrams. Like there is a story. So you need to link what happens in the story. So generally you have a plot in the story and how different plots are connected. So this spidergram will also help in that manner. Then let's say we are reading one thing, uh, engage reading and structure of the paragraph. So let's say our SDG1 is your no poverty. SDG1 is no poverty, and what is written here? End extreme poverty in all forms by 2030. And this is one paragraph. You already have the concept of a paragraph. What is a paragraph? Generally in a paragraph you have one topic sentence, rest of the sentences are supporting sentence, and the last sentence is known as concluding sentence. What you have in a concluding sentence, generally that is the paraphrase of the first sentence and little more information. So when you write a paragraph, when you read a paragraph, you need to think of there must be only one topic sentence, not more than that. That means in a paragraph only one topic sentence, but you can have more supporting sentences. So we read like, yes, it is an ambitious goal, but we believe it can be done. So this is like the writer is writing about uh, poverty, no poverty, and extreme poverty in all forms by 2030. And what the writer is saying, yes, it is an ambitious goal, but we believe it can be done. So two things are there. First, the goal is ambitious, and second thing is it can be achieved. Now, what the writer is writing, so this will become a topic sentence. In 2000, the world committed to halving the number of people in extreme poverty by the year 2015, and we met this goal. So that means like by 2015, half of the population, they were living above poverty line. However, more than 800 million people around the world still live on less than one. So again, like these sentences are supporting sentences. These are supporting our topic sentence. You are saying, you are making a claim, you are making a claim, and you are supporting with this. And what is the last sentence? Now it is time to build on what we learned and end poverty altogether. Fine. So this is how things are written. Then again, like you have another goal. So you are, let's say you are reading, and I talked about that engage reading and writing. So what you are doing, you are underlying. So like past 20 years, you find this is important, you underline it. Fine. Then you find like this, these statistics are important, 2000, 2015. So once you read something, you try to underline them. Then at the same time, there is a mark of asterisk here, you can see. So ambitious goal and tall order. And here you are reading SDG 1, that means Sustainable Development Goal 1 and Sustainable Development Goal 2. That means like you are reading two different chapters. But how chapter 1 is linked to chapter 2? So that means like it starts with, it is an ambitious goal. So you put a mark ambitious goal, and you find similar type of ambitious thing in SDG 2 also. So you can just make a link. So that means this is known as indexing, that what is in chapter 1 and same type of information or same type of tone is also there in chapter 2. Or let's say what is there in chapter 2, page 24, the same type of thing is on page 100, 200. Let's say you are reading a novel and the same type of thing is there. So that indexing is also important. And here you have also made an indexing like, so page number 2, that means like we need to go through page number 2, and here you need to go to page number 3. So this is page number 3, page number 2, and how they are linked to each other. That type of thing is known as intertextuality also. Fine. Intertextuality is basically a term given by Julia Kristeva, that you need to go for other text to support what is there. So that is the thing, note taking, engage reading that you need to do. Then you also need to understand that a good writing is argumentative. So what you have like, you are saying something and you are making a claim. It is an ambitious goal, but we believe it can be done. Then the second sentence is a rebuttal. Rebuttal is like what you are saying, but you are providing evidence that are against that. So you are saying like it is an ambitious goal, but in the second sentence, what you are saying, that in 2000 the world committed to halving the number. Then you are providing evidence, then again rebuttal, then again warrant is like supporting your argument. So that is another thing that you need to do, like you need to make a claim, rebuttal, providing evidence, then again rebuttal, then warrant. So this is a process, this is a circular process while writing a paragraph, while writing an argumentative thinking. So it is like in Shakespeare's, like you read to be or not to be. So to be is like claim, and not to be is rebuttal, like to be or not to be. So to be is like claim you are making to be, and at the same time you are saying to be or not to be. That is the question. So that is the thing, like you are saying something and next time you are just putting rebuttal. So these writers are very famous of making these type of thing. So there is one sonnet by Shakespeare, and that sonnet starts with, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May. So starting is important. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? So this is a question. Starting with a question. So posing a question is important thing. But here Shakespeare is raising not a question, interrogative question, but a rhetorical question. And how a rhetorical question is different from uh, interrogative question. For example, if you raise a question to yourself, that becomes a rhetorical question. For example, when you raise this question, what is the purpose of my life? That is a rhetorical question. You are raising this question and you are searching the answer yourself. Fine. So Shakespeare raises this question, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? And then Shakespeare provides the answer. Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May. Summer leaves hath all too short a day. So these are the things that you need to, the intelligent question. You are reading something. Let's say you are reading this SDG 10, reduce inequality within and among countries. You are reading this, and what you are doing side by side, you are raising a question. So what is the first line? It is an old story. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. This is one information. And on the right hand side, what you are doing, you are raising a question. Is there an end to the old story? If yes, then how? Fine. So this is the question. This technique you need to develop, that something is said to me. I need not to take that information as it is, but I need to pose a question. So what you are doing, you are simply posing a question. It is an old story. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And what is your question? Is there an end to the old story? If yes, then how? Fine. That way you need to, let's say, so this is one short paragraph, but I have raised so many questions here. So that method you need to develop while reading. That method you need to develop, and this method is known as Mayer's folded paper approach. Folded paper approach means like you fold a paper into two, or you divide your word file into two, right hand side, left hand side. Whatever you read on the left hand side, right hand side, you need to just raise intelligent questions. And not simply raising that question, but you need to think, contemplate, find out the answers of these questions. So then summary is also like whatever you read, you need to summarize it. You need to learn how to summarize it. Summarizing is like getting the crux of that thing. And you also need to understand like how summary is different from paraphrase, that also you need to learn. And you also need to learn how to use your linguistic knowledge, the knowledge of the language, uh, to say something more. For example, this is a text here, and this is a Christian hymn, like Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, who of thy tender mercy didst give thine only Son Jesus Christ to suffer death upon the cross for our redemption. Now, if I ask you to say something about this, then you will say God gives his only Son Jesus to save human beings and he died for us. But this is not sufficient, because this is only a description of what is said in poetry, and you are writing in prose. You are not saying something else. So here we have a track method. Track method means like this text belong to liturgical prayer, the source of the text. Then the variety. So these are the question like what is the variety of English you have. So you will say it is like the text falls under religious English. Then where this text is used in church service. So that means like once you have employed the track method, then at least you have some more information. But this is not suffice. Then what is suffice? You need to you need to use your linguistic knowledge. For example, Almighty God, it is in vocative case. Vocative case means, and where do we, so it is not simply like finding out the linguistic unit, but the function of that linguistic unit. Where can you use vocative case, and what is the purpose of vocative case in this hymn? Because once it comes to a devotee and God, you don't require a mediator. You can directly talk to God. So that is the important, that is like the starting is Almighty God. That means like someone who is saying this prayer does not require a mediator, and person can directly talk to God. Then as you can see, like Father, F capital, S capital. So it indicates that the relationship between father and son is not biological but spiritual. So here father is God and the son is Jesus Christ, and their relationship is spiritual and not biological. So that's why we can link, like that's why the father is capital and S is capital. Otherwise, like the first line and the first letter of a poem is also capital, but other meaning is also this. Then when you look at who of thy tender mercy, then you find out like there is the inversion of syntax here. Inversion of syntax means like it is like not the tender mercy of whom, but who of thy tender mercy. Then that means like who is replacing Almighty God, and you are topicalizing it like giving importance to that. That's why who is here. Then you have collocations, like the same type of words which are associated with each other. So that type of thing is there. And once you have this knowledge of linguistics, then you have this much thing to say. Previously you were saying only this one sentence: God gives his only son Jesus to save human beings and he died for us. But now you have this much thing to say. The text begins with a vocative expression that directly addresses God, by which the connection between the addressee and address is well established. Also, the inversion of syntax topicalizes God, but this time it is substituted by the relative pronoun who. The archaic use of the past tense auxiliary did establish its links, indicating that the prayer is quite ancient and has been used by the ancestors as well. The capitalization is an example of capitonym, which removes it from the biological relation and establishes heavenly connection. The use of thy and thine is also in line with Old English, but it has also an alliterative function. And the collocation is well suited for the religious prayer. So you can see, like when you read something closely, carefully, then you always have something new to say. You always have something more to say. And that is basically the start, that all things starts with critical thinking. So I end my session with this, and thank you all for your patient listening. And if you have any doubt or question, please raise it and I would be happy to answer.
Dear students, if you have any question, you can ask. I think, sir, there is no question. Rupali ma'am, you may continue.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir, for such an enriching and very informative session. I'm sure that your talk will immensely benefit each one of us. After this wonderful session, it's time to thank our eminent speaker and the participant. So, For that, I would like to invite Ms. Runali Nikure to propose vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Rupali ma'am. Good evening, everyone. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this memorable session. I'm Mrunalini Kure. On behalf of Prerna College, welcome you all. First of all, I thank our honorable keynote speaker, Dr. Amitabh Trivedi sir. In, in his busy schedule, he has found time to grace this function and address on a volatile volatile topic with his very important views. It was wonderful experience listening to him on this occasion. Sir, I am sure that our students will get immense knowledge for your talk as explained very well on how to think, read, and write critically, method used by author to communicate what is the meaning of the valid and invalid, what is argument and sustainable development goals, engage reading and engage writing activity, how to summary it, and how to um, text analysis. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Now I extend my sincere thanks to our management of Prerna's Commander. I thank them for their kindness, interest, and their continuous support. My heartily thanks to our respected director, Dr. Praveen Joshi, Prerna College, for its continuous motivation, supports, vision, and commitments. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation to our coordinate and in charge of program for their continuous guidance. I would like to thank department who have worked hard to ensure this session becomes successful. At last, I thank all participants for making this session a successful one. Thank you. I declare the session is over. Thank you so much, sir. You can leave now.
Thank you.